Welcome to episode number 2 of BMX Live TV Inside BMX. I'm Pete Dylewski, your host. In this episode, we traveled to Rock Hill, South Carolina for stop number 2 of the USA BMX North American Supercross Tour. While a lot of great racing action was on the track, we got behind the scenes with some past riders who have now moved into managerial positions for different countries around the world running their BMX programs. We wanted to get an insight of what it was like to move on from BMX professional racer into organizing and running a country's BMX program. The first ex-rider, now manager, we got to sit down with was Wade Boots from Australia. Wade, who's no stranger to being a champion as he was a past USA BMX #1 pro rider and world champion on the mountain bike scene, gives us some insight on what it's like to run one of the most successful BMX programs in the world, the Australian High Performance Team. Okay, we're here in Rock Hill, and one of the things we always get asked is what do these riders do after their BMX racing career? Well, we're here today with a past world champion, a past ABA #1 champion, Wade Boots. Wade, when you put the bike down, we see you now running the Australian national team. So give us a little information on what you do and how you help use your past experience racing today with the BMX riders from Australia.
I think I was fortunate when I retired in 2007. I was given an AI scholarship with coaching and took on a coaching role, and was really passionate about giving back to the athletes now and try to give a career that I had within cycling for all those years, and still in it today and still passionate about it, and looking forward to provide those opportunities to more athletes and still work with the current top riders we have today.
So it's not been all that long since you were off the bike, but with all those changes, how are you able to use your past experience to help these riders get to their full potential?
Well, I think, from our days, we have to do it all by ourselves. So it's trying to keep that within the program, because you don't want to give everything to the athletes too early, but we're here as a support network, and that's what we got to really focus on as a support system. And we have a great high performance unit in Australia, which really covers from on-bike stuff and also the off-bike, which is so important for us to keep the balance of life.
And then for you as the administrator of this, or working with other people above you, how do you determine, because now we're here, it's the Olympics were obviously last year, but we're at the start of a season, but yet you're here with some of the key riders from the Australian national team already at one of the USA BMX rounds. So just describe how you plan and plot where you're going to take riders and bring them across the across international boundaries to prepare for future other world championships and World Cup events.
The purpose why we're here this weekend is the high performance riders wanted to do a camp around the World Championship track, so that's purely for these guys. We go back home next week and we'll actually do a development camp in Australia, so we're still trying to identify people to take to World Cups in May, but also identify high performance athletes for the future to come to the World Championships. But also it is post-Olympic cycle, so it's a lot of time of looking and searching and developing others, but also keeping an interest in our current athletes.
Now for you, you spent a lot of time, you basically were one of the key riders to kind of throw caution at the wind, pack up a bag, maybe had a little bit of money in your pocket, came to the US, and look at this, 20 years later you still have a career in BMX. So any of those aspiring riders, what advice would you give them from around the world if they think BMX is something they want to make their lifestyle?
I started with $2,000 and bought a $350 van and traveled through the circuit. But if you got the passion there to be successful in the sport, start from the bottom, because you earn the respect just within yourself to go the hard yards, and hopefully you'll get supported by either a national program or within the industry and make it a career for yourself. And it can be on the bike, but also off the bike, as a lot of us old professionals have is transitioned into the coaching role.
And one last question. Your job is definitely high performance, very serious, yet you want to keep it fun and jovial for the riders as well as yourself, but do a good job. How do you find that perfect balance to do all that?
Well, I think we put a lot more ownership back to the athletes, so it's their program and we're supporting what they want to do. So if they want to have fun involved, we include the fun, but we also got to focus on performance. So it's a collective decision making, and that's why we make sure we involve a lot of people within the decision. So it's the athletes program. We're a support system around them to provide performance.
All right, Wade, thanks so much. That's some great insight from Australia's Wade Boots. Next, we got a hold of Jamie Staff, who currently runs a USA Cycling BMX program. With the current gold and silver medalist from the Olympics last year, Jamie definitely has a lot on his plate, but himself being a past Olympian, gold medalist, as well as #1 pro, definitely helped him a lot in the past. So let's get a word from Jamie to see how he handles all that pressure and the USA BMX program. Okay, so we're here with Jamie Staff, famously known as a Great Britain gold medalist, but now today his role is the key principal in USA BMX at USA Cycling to oversee their programs. So Jamie, coming from BMX and then going into road cycling, track cycling, then transitioning into being a management role, talk about what it was like from when you had to finally hang up the bike and then move on and get a real job.
It's actually been good. I mean, I'll rewind us to about 2006. I actually stepped in. I was back in the UK racing track and just moved back over there from the US. And I actually ended up coaching Liam and Sinead and Kelvin Beatty in the UK for about 6 months, as well as train, which I really enjoyed. You know, they had no other option, so I came in, started writing their training program, started training and riding with them, and it was good. And then it's kind of around the same time I was doing the British Cycling Coaching Education program. I was doing that. And just, I think that's kind of where I started, my interest came through. I'm really enjoying this. And there was a few other things I was doing on the side, all kind of around coaching. And it was just a lot of fun. And that's, I think, at the point where I was like, this is, I think, the direction I want to go. Fast forward a few years, you know, obviously coming over here with USA Cycling, working for those guys, originally on the track, did that for 2 years. You know, it was... Yeah, good. It's been a lot of learning. You know, there's aspects of the job I love. Obviously, coaching's great. But then there's the other parts, you know, admin, logistics, financial stuff. And, you know, I love spreadsheets. So there's, you know, I like it. It took me a while to kind of get my head around some of the accounting stuff. But I don't mind it. I mean, as a BMXer, we did all our own logistics. So I know how to book plane tickets. It's not rocket science. So... You know, so there was most of it I've enjoyed. Some of it still drive me nuts, but it's been good. And you know, I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it. As I said, it's frustrating sometimes, but again, I just try and look big picture. I try and, you know, what am I doing? To me, I'm helping out the best riders we have, and I'm enabling them to do what they want to do. You know, so if I can take stress away. You know, it's nice. I have a budget. I can help out, make us travel around the world, and it's my job is just to make Nick's job, Brooke's job easier, and just do everything for them. You know, when it comes to World Cup. So no, I've really enjoyed it, but it's been a big learning curve.
So it was a little bit of time since when you raced BMX, and you were a past world champion, a past #1 pro. As well as you said, Olympic champion and stuff like that. There's a lot of time from when you raced to now, but how are you able to use your past experience and give that knowledge to these riders to help them reach their ultimate goals?
You have to pick and choose what to say and when. You know, again, most of the riders I'm working with, Connor, Corbin, Nick, and the girls, Lisa and Brooke, they're experienced. I mean, they're pros, right? They've been doing this for so many years, 15 years probably plus. And so in some ways they know a lot, they know what they're doing. So, you know, I try and think outside the box in what I do present to them. You know, I'm not telling them how to go over a speed jump. They know that, right? Is some of the other stuff. It might be to deal with sleep or nutrition. And again, you know, I have my insights and I don't have a problem communicating that to them. Just things I've learned, lessons I've learned, tricks of the trade, whatever you want to call it. Or even lining up other experts in their fields and presenting that to the top riders as well, like nutrition, psychology, and that kind of stuff, and just how important it is, you know. And again, you have to be very careful how you can't just come in and say, we're going to do this, this, and this. They're just like, well, no, you know. So you've got to be very careful in how you present it and how you communicate that to them, and kind of come in kind of soft, you know, and just slowly get them used to that kind of, you know, just like, this is how we're going to take it to the next level. So yeah, picking and choosing the right time to get those messages across is key.
So one of the things that I know, and maybe not a lot of the other people know, is when you came across, same thing, you didn't have much, you just decided you were going to come to the USA and race because I'm assuming you thought that's where the best people race.
Yeah.
But you basically had no support. So the riders today that have that, when you can see that gleam in their eye, they think you're going to do good, they get a lot of support. So I don't know, how do you convey that to them as well? Because I think a lot of people feel like they're owed something sometimes when they have one good result, but at the same point, your experience was you did everything on your own.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think I speak for a lot of people that are not US, is where you're hungry. I'm looking at Buster Beaver over there, and he raced around the world. And Wade, you're hungry. You come over here, Wade lived out the back of a van, you're hungry. And we didn't have everything. Back in the UK, you're getting one frame, one pair of shoes a year. Coming to the US, where a lot of the guys are given everything from day one. A 10-year-old expert's got 6 bikes and a dozen pairs of shoes, and it gives you something, gives you the drive and the passion to succeid. And that's what I come over, is just super hungry. And yeah, it's hard. I think a lot of the athletes today, they, like I said, they've been given everything. Well, not everything, but from day one, but they've been given a lot. And it's just trying to find where their hunger is and their passion. And yeah, we have to slap them around the face sometimes. Like, look, guys, you've got actually pretty good. Think about it. You're bitching and moaning, but really, is your life that bad? So you have to kind of put them in check sometimes, which I don't mind doing.
So all in all, it is a serious business. Obviously, this is your new career, but one of the questions we wanted to find out was, how do you balance the seriousness of it, of the logistics, the training, and then still keep it fun and jovial so everyone doesn't get burnt out on it?
That's a good point, and that is really the key, I think. I look back at my career and my experiences, and I don't remember winning specific events. I remember having a good time at an event, and I'm trying to get across to the athletes, look, you're in a position where you've got a great career, you're doing well. I want to keep it fun for them. I want to keep it light. Obviously, I want you to try hard and do your best. There's times to focus before the event, and there's times where you can kind of lay back and sometimes have a beer. It's just teaching them that balance in life. I was a big fan of having balance in my life. There's times when you need to step away from what you're doing and gain perspective and kind of, relax, and that's normal. And so, yeah, trying to get those messages over to the athletes is key. And again, you're a parent. Call me whatever you want. Leader, parent. I've got kids, so that helps too. But you're just always passing over snippets of information, and again, reminding them to keep it light and fun sometimes, and encouraging us to have fun. We go to all trips around the world. A lot of the times we don't do much stuff outside of hotel and racetrack, but hey, let's go and do some go-karting, or let's go and play Nick Long loves miniature golf at Papendal. Yeah, let's go out and have some fun, and because that's what you remember, that stuff, not what you got in your third moto in 2015. So
unless you win the world championships, national championships, and Olympic championships, like Jamie Staff. So all right, Jamie, thanks so much.
Pleasure. Thanks.
It's always a treat to sit down with Jamie Staff. He has a lot of experience, a lot to the table, and always offers some great insight. Next, we go to Boss the Beaver, himself a past BMX champion and mountain bike World Cup winner. Boss is one of the riders that's taken BMX to the next level in the Netherlands and has brought the program to great heights. Let's get a word here from Boss to see how he handles the pressure while he's taking care of his team. Okay, so we're here with another past champion, Boss the Beaver. Boss currently oversees the Dutch national team and has a lot to do behind the scenes, but a lot may not know, Dutch was one of the premier Dutch BMX racers back in the day, and was able to funnel that knowledge, athleticism, into mountain bikes, and now onto being in charge. He'll give us his official title, but he's the head guy, whatever he does. So, Boss, from BMX to mountain bikes to your current role, just talk about the transition, what it was like for yourself.
Well, there's two different transitions. Obviously, one is within sports. I started out racing BMX when I was, like everybody else, a young kid. And then somewhere halfway through my 20s, I decided to switch it up and try mountain biking. So you go from one sport to another, but you're still an athlete. So you try to take that knowledge that you have from BMX into your new venture. It was a bit of a shock because BMX back then, I thought I was a professional and thought I knew what I was doing training wise and diet and all that. But then I came into mountain biking and it turned out I didn't know crap about what high performance sport is all about. So my mountain biking career lasted about 10, 12 years, and all I know from high performance sports I learned in those 10, 12 years, which was a nice experience. And then towards my 35th, 36th birthday, you kind of know you're at the end of your sporting career-ish. The question was asked to me by our federation, because by that time it was announced that BMX was in the Olympics. And we're talking 04 now, 03, 04. So my federation came up to me, Bas, if you're interested in setting up some kind of program or structure for BMX in Holland, because, we're in the Olympics. I thought about it for an hour and a half, and it was an easy decision. Obviously, yes, I would. But then I said yes, and then what? Because, up until then, the only thing I needed to do was me, myself, and I. It was sports, and the whole world evolved around me because I had to perform. And then all of a sudden, you're responsible for, setting up a structure, bringing in athletes, bringing in staff, and get all that organized. And how do you move forward? And what kind of steps do you take? So that was a steep learning curve for me, but a good one, which I really enjoyed. So firstly, I try to, put in place what I call a high performance feeling. What does it take to be a high performance athlete? What do you have to do? What do you don't have to do? And that, I guess that took about an Olympic cycle to get that in place. And then after that, once the high performance part was kind of in place, you start thinking further deep and start thinking development, because normally you start from the bottom up, but all of a sudden we're in the Olympics, so we had to start at the top. So once that was in place, next question was, now what? We got this one Olympic cycle behind us. How do we get younger kids to that level that we want them to be, in 4 years' time and 4 years after that, etc. So we started our development program, and the same process. You got to think on how to do it, how to structure it. Again, a learning curve, but a good one. And here we are 12, 13 years later into coaching in South Carolina.
So we're a year after the Olympics, and we come through it here. We're early in the season, and you guys are already over here back in the U.S. training. This is where the World Championships are going to be, but just explain your thought processes coming over here, because you were also here earlier for the Ultimar BMX Nationals and Phoenix. So just talk about, so early in the year, but again, everyone's been focusing on Olympic cycles, but for you, it's, I think, continually improving of the athletes that you have.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And, it's a post-Olympic year, so taking the experiences from the first two Olympics, you kind of want to, I wouldn't say sit back and relax the year after, but kind of blow off steam. All these athletes have been working towards that one moment at the Olympics last year. So we sat down, did our evaluation, and in that evaluation, some riders put forward their thought and ideas to maybe chase an ABA or USA BMX title. And so we tried to figure that out, and if we could put that in the program, and we could. So a few of us Dutchies will be here at certain races in the US just to see if we can get a few top spots chasing that USA BMX title. But then, yeah, like you said, the Worlds are coming up. Worlds are here in South Carolina this summer. This weekend is not particular the reason that we're there for. I mean, we're going to be back for Nashville and Salt Lake City, and there's a weekend off in between. The week in between, we're going to be here, and that will be specifically for prepping for Worlds. And then obviously we'll be back here in July for Worlds.
So with a lot of serious business, you just kind of laid out a big plan for this year. How do you keep it fun? How do you keep it light? How do you keep the riders excited about it, especially sometimes if they have bad results or some injuries?
Well, that's the toughest part of coaching, and that's, I guess, the toughest part of high-performance sports. Thinking about a sport and how to train for it and all that kind of stuff, that's I wouldn't say easy, but relatively easy. It's once you get your athletes to that point where they start, doing good and win, or being a podium guy or being a top 8 guy, that's where coaching kicks in. Because, the one guy of your squad wins and the other dude doesn't make it out of the motos for whatever reasons. But there's two totally opposite emotions that you have to deal with in, the same day, the same race weekend. And that's where coaching comes in, and that's what I like about coaching, because, you sit down with your athletes, and the one guy who won, you don't have to talk about, or you don't have to talk with him because he's, all glory and happy. But the guy who didn't make it out of the motos or quarters or semis, whatever, you sit down with him and listen to his story and try to drag him back into, the winning ways, if there is such a way. And that's the fun part. I mean, but to answer your question, to keep it fun for the athletes, that's also a tough thing, because, to be able to perform at a high level, there's no way around your days being very monotone, being very the same every day, because it's repetitive, right? And that's easy to set up when you start doing this, but after a year or two, or now after 12 or 13, you need to come up with some ideas to give it a swing and keep them motivated and keep them happy and keep it fun, and that's a challenge, but I guess I'm still able to pull that off.
Well, we're excited to have you on the circuit for this many years, and hopefully many more to come, boss. Thanks so much.
Cheers. Thanks, Pete.
What a word there from Boss to Beaver. And last up, it'll be German Medina from Colombia. German, who has the 2-time gold medalist Mariana Pajón under his wing, definitely knows a thing or two about BMX, as well as German still competes on the BMX national circuit, and he was doing so there in Rock Hill. So let's get a word from German Medina and the Colombian BMX program. So we're back here in Rock Hill with a different perspective. We're here with German Medina from Colombia. German is the national team coach, may not be specifically what his title is, but German's the one that oversees all of the high performance riders from Colombia. And German, we were talking to some of your colleagues, Wade Boots, Jamie Staff, and Boss to Beaver, about the transition from racing and then becoming a coach. So how did that happen for you?
Well, I have been racing almost my entire life, since 12 years old. And I still race because I like to race, and if I still race, I know what is every racer may be thinking at the gate or what they have inside, because usually it's easy to tell them do this, do that, but obviously it's not that easy. So I rather do something else that are similar or is similar to what they do, so I can give them some good advices as well. But at the same time, I like to ride bikes, I like to feel good, so I also want to keep racing. I don't know how long, but obviously I'm trying to do my best. But yeah, it's a good experience and it's a good support for the riders as well.
So how do you find the time to balance from running the team, and you have some high-profile riders, Olympic medalists, Olympic gold medalists, and as well as the up-and-coming riders, and at the same time find time for yourself to, you look like you're somewhat serious out there when you're racing, so to find time to train yourself, but also, make sure the priority of those riders is taken care of.
Oh yeah, no, I'm trying to stay in shape for health purposes as well. But obviously my main job is to be the national coach, so I just try to find some time here and there. I'm not saying I'm training every day, but at least I try to be on the bike like 2 or 3 times a week and do something for myself as well. So that's it. But obviously I like to race, and I also want to do good, and it's what I expect from them. So I think it's a good balance in between looking for something, having the time and searching for the time, but as well when all the season starts up and everything gets pretty busy and hectic with the national team, I don't have that much time to do this. So I try to do, let's say, like something like on the off season, so I have some time for myself and some time for racing, and that's it.
So here we are a year after the Olympics went down, and now some of the other teams and countries are still ramping up. They're still coming to the races from outside. You have someone that usually attends a lot of the USA BMX Nationals as well. So what's the plan for the Colombian high-performance riders this year, in 2017?
Well, for us, we look at everything like in a 4-year period. So this year it's a little bit slow. I mean, in terms of racing, we are focusing more on some preparation, focusing on things that we know we have to improve to be able to overcome those situations for Olympics mainly. But we still need to race and keep in the racing mood. So here is going to be the World Championship this year, so it was a good race to come and race, and it's not that far from us to come here, find a good competition. So if it falls in the plan that we are doing, we do some racing. So that's why we come in an often basis here.
So as we learned last year, maybe a lot of people didn't know that Colombia is a huge BMX racing enthusiastic country. Tons and tons of kids. Obviously, Mariana winning 2 Olympic gold medals has a lot to do with that. But how do you see that success come from a country that maybe a lot of, it's still small, I think, overall for racing, but it's very popular and a lot of participants.
Yeah, what most people doesn't know is that Colombia has been having BMX like from the 70s something, 76, 77. Since then, we have been having national races and people like to ride bikes. And Colombia is a cycling country. We don't just do BMX. We have a really good road cyclists and mountain bikers and so on. And everything booms up for BMX right after the London Olympics. Well, something right after China, Beijing, but really from London, the BMX event was aired live on TV. That was a Friday morning. Everybody was looking at the Olympics, and when Mariana won the gold medal, so now everything back there knows what BMX is about. Usually, before that, you said, "Hey, what do you do?" "I do BMX," and they think that it was like BMX freestyle or something, the jumping, under jumping, and so on. But now everybody knows BMX, and there's a lot of kids that are getting interested into BMX, and there's a lot of girls because Mariana, she is like a really role model, and she's like a superstar in Colombia because we have 2 medals out of 3 that the country has ever gained. So it's good for BMX, and I think we just see the future BMX getting even better in Colombia every time.
Well, before I ask all the other coaches how they kept BMX fun, they gave us some fun answers, I guess. But German Medina is the one that truly keeps it fun as he's still out there racing. And right now we just caught him before he gets up for his semifinal. So thanks so much, German. We are appreciative for your time and great job that you're doing down in Colombia.
No, thank you so much. And thank you guys for keeping the love with BMX and letting everybody knows what it's all about.
So it's definitely great to hear that from German as well as see him out on the track. So that's going to wrap it up for episode number 2 of Inside BMX presented by BMX Live TV. We're looking forward to heading over to the World Cups, and we'll have some more insight from you from stop number 1 of the UCI BMX World Cup Tour in Papendal, Holland, just later next month. So I'm Pete Dylewski. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them below and get your friends to subscribe to our YouTube channel.